the United States under someone else's name, misrepresented your marriage status on the form DS-160 when filed for your non-immigrant visa to come to the United States, misrepresented arrest or conviction status on your DS-160 or previous immigration forms. All these things typically lead to denial of adjustment of status or green card application in the United States. But the good news is that there is a waiver for these situations. It's called I-601 waiver. And today I'm going to be focusing on what is necessary for various types of misrepresentation or fraud allegations to work when you're filing for that waiver and when you're filing for adjustment of status after these misrepresentations were done. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Alena Shautsova. I'm an immigration lawyer from New York. I use my social media to educate you guys on various issues related to the United States immigration laws. I also provide updates with regard to immigration news and tips. So don't forget to sign up for my channels, follow me on social media, and let's start. On this particular YouTube channel, I already have some videos about immigration hardship waivers, how to show hardship, how to qualify for this or that waiver. This video will be about practical tips in connection with specific misrepresentation situations. And we're going to start with a situation when a person enters the United States under someone else's name. So if this happens to you, no judgment, what do you need to show to USCIS to be able later to get a green card, let's say based on marriage or based on the fact that your child is sponsoring you? Number one, you have to show that you were in fact inspected and admitted, even if you used someone else's name. In this situation, you need to know what name you entered under. You need to have or restore I-94 form or record of your inspection and admission. It's extremely important that you can prove that you were in fact inspected and admitted. It's not enough to allege just that I used name of so-and-so and entered the United States. You have to prove that you were inspected and admitted under this name. Typically, the government would want to see a copy of that passport, a copy of that visa, a copy of that ticket that you used to travel to the United States under that name, a copy of I-94, information about the flight, time, and date of arrival of that flight if you enter the United States by the means of flying in and you were inspected at the airport. So it's very important to be as precise as possible in this particular type of situation. One thing where it's not going to work, the adjustment, even with a waiver, it's not going to work if you use someone else's name. This thing is when you enter the United States, not just using someone else's name, but using false US citizen passport. Why? Why wouldn't it not work? Well, because it's in this situation, the government says that you were not inspected and admitted because you pretended to be a US citizen. So the quality of your entry was different. Well, plus, of course, you claim to be a US citizen and you are inadmissible. Second, very common situation when a person committed misrepresentation or fraud relates to the person's allegation that they were married, usually, in connection with a DS-160 non-immigrant visa application. It can be a visa application for visitor visa or student visa. The person themselves, or maybe somebody who helped them, stated that they were married. Sometimes the person says, well, it was only a common law marriage, but I put that I was married, or it was only my fiancé, but I put that I was married to them. Or sometimes they had no idea who that alleged spouse on their Form DS-160 was. So the person receives the visa, enters the United States, or stays very often, and then they meet someone here who's a US citizen, true love story. Now they need to file for adjustment of status. They file for adjustment of status, and the officer says, wait a second. We reviewed your previous immigration file, and you are married still to someone else. Produce that divorce certificate. And of course, you cannot produce the divorce certificate because it never existed. The marriage never existed. In this situation, the wise thing to do is to admit your wrong, state that you didn't misrepresent your marriage status at the time of application for your immigrant visa, and file for I-601 waiver. All right? I've been practicing immigration law in the United States for 17 years, and an explanation it wasn't me who submitted Form DS-160. I wasn't aware of the mistake, or I have never been married. I was never married until now. Those explanations do not work for USCIS. Just admit to the fact that there was a misrepresentation of fraud and file for the waiver. These are practical tips as to how to overcome difficult situations, guys, okay? And if you need to consult on a specific situation, please reach out to my office, 917-885-2261. Here I am sharing with you general tips. Let's move on to the next situation. Now, what if in your home country you were arrested or even convicted, but you did not disclose this information on your Form DS-160? Well, you didn't disclose it because you wanted to receive the visa and get out of your country. Very often it happens to applicants for asylum. Well, these guys, they have their own route to deal with it. But what if it happened to you and now you're seeking green card based on marriage? What's going to happen here is that you have to be truthful, of course, on your application forms, and the truth necessarily will lead to the discovery of the discrepancy between the Form DS-160, where you stated that you were never arrested or convicted, and the Form I-45, which calls for full disclosure of possible arrests, detention, and convictions. And to address this discrepancy, most likely, you will have to file for that I-601 waiver. What is going to be the key here is, of course, your rehabilitation, your remorse, asking for forgiveness. It's very important. Of course, you also have to qualify for the waiver itself, but you must show that that conviction does not make you inadmissible in the United States. It's very important, okay? It either was purely political conviction or something that was small enough that does not lead to inadmissibility in the United States. Because remember, conviction anywhere around the world, if it equals to a similar conviction in the United States that makes you inadmissible or deportable, would prevent you from receiving adjustment of status, unless, of course, another waiver is available, not just a fraud or misrepresentation waiver is available. So make sure to work with a lawyer who's going to do proper analysis of the legal situation and will be able to advise you well. So here we discussed key points when we're working with different types of misrepresentations or fraud allegations. But of course, don't forget that the waiver is more complex than that. You do have to have a qualifying relative, which for the purposes of I-601 waiver in connection with misrepresentation or fraud can only be a US citizen or green card holder spouse or parent, not a child. You also have to show extreme hardship to those people, qualifying relatives, in case of your removal. And in general, you have to show that you deserve discretion, that the government forgives you. Very, very important. Again, I have other videos that go into details about what type of documents you can produce, how to write what I call your life story, and what type of other evidence you may use, such as psychological evaluation, financial evidence, evidence of financial hardship, emotional hardship, health, medical hardships, that you should attach in connection with your waiver. Well, guys, I hope this little video is helpful for those of you who find themselves in this difficult situation. Do not lose hope. The United States immigration laws are strict, but also very often, with the right help, may be forgiving. We have helped hundreds of people to fix the immigration status in these situations. They all had to admit to the wrongdoings. They had to present strong documents. They asked for forgiveness, and forgiveness was granted. So there is always hope. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you find this video helpful. If so, like and share it, and I hope to see you soon.